Hey there PCL fans, this is CrayDaily26 coming back at you with another video. We are going through all the tiers in our draft system and kind of ranking things, telling you what you should be looking for, and this is our final video in that series. We are doing the Mega Pokemon. So the Megas are all completely separate from the other tiers. You draft one Mega separately, you only get one. So let's break down into these Megas. So here they are. They're broken down into 4 tiers. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4. Tier 1, if you take a Tier 1, they're the strongest, going to be the best for you, usually, but they don't award you any extra free points. That's what drafting lower tier Megas does for you and why you might want to. So getting those extra free points just gives you some extra spending money, basically, at the end of the draft to draft your 4 free Pokemon. And if you remember from our intro video to draft, and just in case you're not aware, there are 400 points you have to spend on the different tiers. And like tier 1s cost 180, tier 2s cost I think 120, I believe, and then tier 3s are 80 or 60. I have to double check. And then tier 4s, no, tier 4s are 60, and tier 5 is worth 20. And you try to fill out your team with those points, but if you take a tier 2 Mega, you're going to get 40 extra points to spend. If you take a tier 3 Mega, you're going to get 60 points to spend, and a tier 4, you're going to get 80 points to spend. So if you're trying to squeeze in another tier 1 into your team, you might consider taking one of the lower Megas. I personally don't think that's always the best idea, and I'm going to kind of go over that as we go through the tiers here. So what are you looking for in draft? So basically with your Megas, this is another component of the backbone of your team, basically. It's like a tier 1. Your Megas are where a lot of your stats are. That's the point of Mega Pokemon. Their stats are boosted from their regular forms. So that you want them to be either hard-hitting or super big tanks. You want them to function really well on your team, and then you want to draft around them. Your tier 1 and Mega are kind of like just the big hitters on your team, and you want to build your team around that. And I think that's really, really important to make sure you're building around mons that you already know are going to function really well. But, I mean, essentially the Mega is all up to what fits your team. If you can take a lower tier Mega and fit it with your team, that is great, because you free up some points. Just know that maybe some of the lower tier ones aren't quite as strong as you would like. And with that being said, we are going to go through the Megas, and I'm actually going to go through all of them. So hopefully I can kind of get through them a little quicker than some of the other videos we've done, because it's going to be a lot of Pokemon. So we are going to start out in tier 4. So tier 4, there are 3 Pokemon, 1, 2, and 3. Mega Audino, Camerupt, and Mega Abomasnow. So I considered Audino the worst. It's joked about a lot in the Discord. People talk about, oh, Mega Audino, haha, it's so good. But it really is probably the worst. Just looking at these 3, I just couldn't justify not putting it as the worst. Its ability is pretty useless in singles. If you're looking for a wall, like a bulky fairy, there's so many better options than our Megas. You're wasting a Mega slot. Your Mega slot, you get 1 on Mega Audino. It's not worth it. Wish Passers, again, there's so many better ones. It's just not worth wasting the Mega slot, in my opinion. So Mega Camerupt gets Sheer Force. That's a plus for it. Makes it a little stronger with some of its really good attacks. To be honest, though, the reason it's in tier 4 is its typing. It's really, really bad typing. 4 times weakness to water is just not good. And almost nothing is run competitively that has that. I think the only thing that is Rhyperior and Rhydon. Because they can kind of tank it depending on what your strats are. But having your Mega 4 times weak to water is pretty bad, to be honest. It usually needs Trick Room to shine. I'm not saying I don't think Camerupt could ever be drafted. I think if someone was running kind of a Trick Room team and wanted to fit more tier 1s on their team, draft Camerupt to get some points, get a Hoopa-U on your team, you know, get some other stuff, good stuff on your team. But number 1, I'm putting Abomasnow, basically because he brings Hail and makes Hail teams a little stronger. I think that makes him good. The reason he's in tier 4, the typing, just like Camerupt, is really bad. 4 times weak to fire is so bad. Fire is very common coverage. Everyone runs it. Everyone knows what to expect with Abomasnow. His stats aren't great. He can tank other hits, but he's not going to take a fire hit. He's just not. And again, the speed, running Trick Room can be okay with him, but if you're running an ice team, trying to squeeze Trick Room in there also might be a little tough. But if you're going to take a tier 4, Abomasnow is probably the way to go. I apologize for my voice if it gets a little bad. I am getting over a cold. Just want to apologize for that. So tier 3s, there are 5 tier 3s. First one we're going to go over is Mega Glalie. I think Mega Glalie is the worst one of the tier 3s. Not saying it's that bad though. It's a bomb basically. It's the best explosion in the game, I believe. Maybe a Alolan Golem might be a little stronger. Actually, it is stronger. But Glalie's is still up there. It's a stab explosion, which is really nice. Gets spikes, so it's a great suicide lead. Again, though, the reason I put him at the end is, do you really want your Mega to be a suicide lead? I don't think so. I think the typing isn't great. Solid Ice type. Ice has a lot of weaknesses. Common weaknesses, Rock Fighting and Steel. That's not great. 100 speed is okay, not spectacular. You can run other sets. It doesn't have to be a suicide lead, but that's his best function. And just not great for a draft format, I don't think. Number 4, Ampharos. Ampharos has 45 speed, so it's pretty slow. Mold Breaker is pretty much wasted on it. It doesn't get Earthquake, which is sad, and it doesn't really have the attack to justify it anyways. It's very strong though if you can boost its speed. It does have agility, or running it in a Trick Room team, like I talked about before, can make it good. You can squeeze that on your team to get the extra 60 points for your 3 points, but I still don't think Ampharos is good enough to really justify drafting. I think someone took it once, maybe, if I'm remembering correctly from Season 1, but I just don't think it's great. I think you can do a lot better with your Mega Slot. So number 3, Steelix. Steelix is alright. With Sand, it can be a monster. It gets Sand Force, which is so good. 230 defense is crazy good. Stab Earthquakes are always amazing, especially with Sand Force. It's immune to Toxic, so for a physical tank, that's really good. It can't be worn down. Stealth Rocks is nice. But again, he's a physical tank, but any special move is really going to do a lot of damage to him. He has a lot of common weaknesses, water being one of them. And water moves are usually special, so Steelix can't do a lot against that. He gets walled by a lot of things. And you really need Sand to kind of get his power level up to where you want it to be. But if you're running a Sand team, honestly, he's probably more like a tier 2 for you. So he can be pretty good. But overall, he's alright. I think if his attack was a little higher, 125 is okay, but for a Mega Slot, you usually want that to be a little bit higher. Number 2, we're going Mega Bayonet. There's a lot of talk about this one in the Discord. Not sure. I think people were just really divided on it, but it won me over a little bit. I think its attack stat especially, it's really good. 165, that's up there with Rampardos. The Prankster, Will-O-Wisp, and Destiny Bond. Like, that's amazing. Knockoff, Gunk Shot coverage, pretty good. Obviously, it's slow, and it relies on that Destiny Bond set. I don't know if you would run without it with the Prankster. That's just a really nice lure. Get things in to come kill you, but you take them down, you can take down something good. In draft, is that always the best, though? Probably not. Probably not. But I think the attack is good enough that you might want to run it, and it's got enough coverage, and it's got knockoff. It has usability, basically, more so than some of the other tier 3s. But my number 1 tier 3 is Blastoise. Now Blastoise has obviously a lot going for him. Look at his stats, that's pretty great. He's got Rapid Spin, that's really good. His ability boosts a lot of his coverage, and he pulse moves, which is really nice. His problem is he doesn't have setup, which is sad. So he can have trouble getting over a lot of big walls. Again, Mega's not being able to have an item, like he can't really boost his special attack at all to get it to where you want it to be. It's also hard to justify drafting bulky waters in a mega slot, in my opinion. There's so many good bulky waters, everyone knows this. I've talked about bulky waters in all my other videos and just how great they are and how everyone should have one on their team. Everyone. It should be a requirement. But putting that in your mega slot, I feel weakens your draft overall. You can get better options even in the lower tiers. Like take tier 3, you can get a Raquanid in tier 3. That's so good. And we just moved regular Blastoise down to tier 4. That's really good. So people should be looking into those instead of using it as your mega. So now the tier 2s. These ones, people do draft some tier 2s every season. Like 1 or 2 people decide to dip down into the tier 2s, get a little bit of extra points, sacrifice some power level, but that doesn't mean that they're bad. There are a lot of good Pokemon in here. Heracross is coming in at number 12. There are 12 total, so he's the worst in my opinion, which is weird because he does have the highest attack stat, I believe, of the Megas. He gets Skill Link with Rock Blast, Arm Thrust, and Pin Missile. That's super strong. Close Combat and Earthquake, really good. Basically, switching into Mega Heracross is gonna hurt. You're gonna take a lot of damage. I think the problem is his typing isn't the best. Having the 4 times weakness is never great in drafts. People can work around that. And those 3 moves I listed are resisted by some common things. I mean, if you're running Rock Blast, switching in a Steel type or a Ground type is just going to soak that up and not take too much, hopefully. And also, Heracross lacks versatility. You're going to run a lot of very similar sets on Mega Heracross. Bulk up plus some of these attacks and some other coverage, maybe. But overall, like, Heracross doesn't do too much that people need to be afraid. He'll probably get a kill, but you can take him out easily. Probably, to me, just not worth a Mega slot. Slowbro. So Slowbro has been drafted, Mega Slowbro. And it's done fairly decently, which surprises me a little bit. I'm not saying it's bad. Mega Slowbro is great. The reason that it's not higher up on my list is just because I think the drafts can be better when your bulky water is not in your Mega slot. Especially because regular Slowbro, in my opinion, is way better than Mega Slowbro. So its stats are great. 180 defense, 130 special attack, really good. It gets Slack off recovery. That's super nice for a bulky Pokemon. But again, its ability changes to Shell Armor, which is bad. Critical hits, like, they're not, like, that's just the RNG of the game, and that doesn't do a lot for you. Regenerator that regular Slowbro gets is so much better for your tanky water type. Honestly, the only reason you're taking Mega Slowbro is because somebody sniped Slowbro from you and you're upset and you still want Slowbro on your team. But I don't think Mega Slowbro is worth that slot. I'm sorry. Look for bulky waters elsewhere. There's better ones, better abilities than Mega Slowbro. Still a good Pokemon, but I just don't like justifying a Mega being your bulky water overall. Alright, number 10, Absol. So Absol and now number 9, Houndoom. I had a lot of trouble trying to figure out who I thought was better, and I went with Houndoom being slightly better. Absol has a lot going for it though. Both of these have 115 speed, good speed tier. Magic Bounce for Absol is nice. It's hard for things to switch in on that 150 attack. Sucker Punch Priority is really good. The coverage is pretty great. It does have some versatility. And then Stab Knockoff is great in drafts. Everyone knows that. And while, like I said, it's hard for things to switch into Mega Absol, it's also very, very hard for Absol to switch into anything. 60 defense, 60 special defense. I think it's just a glass cannon, which is fine if that's what you really want on your team. I just think not being able to take any hits is a little weaker in draft. If you're getting Mega Absol, I would say you're going hyper offense. You're just trying to burst the team down a little bit. But I just don't think it's good enough. Now, Houndoom. I like Houndoom a lot. A little bit more because it's dual type, I think, and slightly better bulk moved it up for me. Having 90 in the defense and special defense lets you take at least one hit when you're switching in, usually. You're going to be able to take something. It's a fast taunter. Nasty Plot, I think, also is really, really strong. The bad for it, it's weak to common types. Coverage isn't super great for Mega Houndoom, sadly, and its ability isn't as useful. But I just think the bulk overall moves it up for me. I like when my offensive mons can at least take one hit. Mega Absol ain't taking nothing. It's walled by any fighting type, where Mega Houndoom might not be because it can run fire moves. So it depends on the fighting type. But I just think Mega Houndoom's slightly better, but I do hate when an ability goes to waste. If you're running a Sun team, something with Drought, then that makes Houndoom a little better, but your team becomes a little more predictable. So, still not bad. Number 9 on my tier 2s. Pretty strong overall. Number 8, we're going with Garchomp. Garchomp, everyone always makes fun of Mega Garchomp because he's so much worse than regular Garchomp. Not getting an item sucks. And the speed drop, I think, is the biggest thing. He loses some speed, because regular Garchomp's speed tier is pretty great. 92 pushes him away from a lot of things, and he can't run a Scarf to outspeed them. And having a 4 times weakness to Ice is easy to exploit. That being said, though, strong Stab Earthquake, a lot of setup potential, obviously, with Garchomp, just like regular Garchomp. And then Stealth Rocks is good, the coverage is decent. It's still a strong Pokemon, but is it worth your Mega slot? Maybe for those extra points. Somebody took Garchomp, somebody took Zygarde. Then maybe you want to take Garchomp if that's really what you want. Take Mega Garchomp and get a little extra points. I think that's totally fine. Just know that people are going to abuse its lower speed, and people are going to, just exploit it a little more than they can a regular Garchomp. Regular Garchomp can bring a few more surprises. Number 7, this is where I think we're getting to some of the ones that I do expect people to draft eventually. Agron. Agron's so nice. Filter plus 230 defense is really, really strong. If you're not familiar with Filter, it reduces special, super effective damage on Agron. So he's not only tanky, he's tanky and he can take a lot of hits. Stealth Rock. He's immune to Toxic. As a tank, that's super good. He's harder to wear down. Obviously, watch out for Will-O-Wisp still. His coverage is good, and he also gets Curse. So as a Curse sweeper, like, this is phenomenal. We've seen Curse sweeps happen. People don't expect it. I got swept by that Registeel. Everyone knows about that one. But honestly, Mega Agron would be even scarier with Curse sweep. Like, that could be terrifying with his stats. Absolutely terrifying. Obviously, as a tank, he lacks recovery, so you really do want to make him a little more offensive and not too passive, because he can't recover. The special defense leaves him very vulnerable to his weaknesses, which is true. Filter helps. An 80 isn't the lowest special defense, but it's not great. So obviously, if you're ready Mega Agron, you've got other things on your team to back it up to help take out the special attackers. So you could bring in Mega Agron and just sit on their team with that 230 defense. Pretty great. I do expect at some point Mega Agron is going to get drafted. Next, 6, we've got Pidgeot. Pidgeot did get drafted this season and did pretty well. No Guard Hurricane is the selling point for Mega Pidgeot. Being able to hit every time with Hurricane is really nice and not rely on Rain. 121 speed, very, very nice speed tier. U-Turn and Roost, always great as a really good pivot. Can come in on Stealth Rocks and roost away the damage, or I think it gets defogged too. The bad about it, obviously, I think a lot of people forget with No Guard, your opponent also hits 100% accurate, so Stone Edge, you can't hope and pray they miss their Stone Edge, and you'll win the game on that, because it's going to hit. It's 100% guaranteed, so watch out for that, and it lacks a lot of coverage. Most of its moves are physical, and it's a special attacker, sadly. It does get Heat Wave like a lot of other flying types, so that's good. Really great, but not good enough, in my opinion, for making it as versatile as it needs to be. So it's coming in at number 6. It got drafted. Obviously, it's really strong, and I agree with that, but it's not as good as some of these higher ones. Number 5, Sceptile. Now Sceptile, the selling point of Sceptile is that 145 speed. That is fast. That's really nice for an offensive mon. That's where you want your offensive mon speed to be. 145 special attack, 145 speed is really, really good. It's fast. It can run mixed too. 110 attack is pretty decent. It's going to run some mixed coverage. It's got Sword Dance too, as kind of a surprise I think people could throw in there. And its ability is pretty decent. Lightning Rod for draft is pretty good. Having something immune to electric that you can switch in. Force something out. Force out Coco if it's a choiced Coco. Or forcing out Jolteon, because Jolteon's super popular. Stuff like that. Just watch out for obviously Hidden Power Ice. But the nice thing is with 145 speed, Sceptile's going to outspeed a lot. Obviously the 4 times ice weakness hurts it a little bit. Watch out for Hidden Power Ices. And then it is a glass cannon, like a lot of other ones, but I think the speed and special attack just make it okay enough to really run in draft. And I can see why it's a tier 1 in a lot of other leagues. I know there was a lot of talk about Sceptile. Some people wanted to move it down to tier 3. Some people thought it was fine in tier 2. Nobody suggested tier 1. I don't think people think it's good enough. I think what we really need is someone to draft it and just do really well with it. Let us see what a monster it can be, and then we can see why maybe people put it in tier 1. But for now, it's a really good tier 2. I still didn't put it up at the top, but it makes top 5 for me. Number 4, we've got Beedrill, the poster child for glass cannons. Adaptability, U-turn, stab, knockoff, pursuit. Like, everything that I've talked about a lot about draft Pokemon, this thing has. U-turn is just so good, being able to pivot out when you need to with 145 speed is really strong. Knockoff, obviously, is just a great move. Having that is super good. Knocking your opponent, fight him off is crucial. Pursuit, very nice. Can trap a lot of Psychic types trying to switch out on it. The thing is, I don't think a lot of Psychic types are going to switch out on Mega Beedrill because it's poison. But if they're worried about the knockoff, then they might, and you can try to sneak in a Pursuit. Again, what's bad about it? Look at the defenses. Any priority move is basically going to kill Mega Beedrill, so you have to be really careful with switching it out, U-turning when you need to. As long as you play it well, Mega Beedrill can be strong, but it's not quite my top 3. Now, my top 3, you can see Manectric here is number 3. I took these top 3 and I really had to think hard about the order for them. And what it really came down to for me, honestly, was the versatility aspect of draft. So Manectric comes in at number 3 because it's really strong. Manectric is one of the best tier 2 megas, no doubt. People draft it every season. It's really, really good. It's worth the extra points. Intimidate, 135 speed, 135 special attack, Volt Switch, that's really good. But Manectric runs the same set, pretty much. Its coverage is low. Really low. It runs just about the same set. The only thing you're changing on it is the hidden power. That's about the only surprise you throw your opponent. Being able to Volt Switch out, though, is really nice. And obviously you're going to run like hidden power ice a lot for ground types. But it's just not diverse enough to really warrant it being number 1 in the tier 2s. It was close, though. Trust me, these last 3 were really, really close for me having to decide who was better. But actually, my number 1 and number 2 have not been drafted yet, I don't think, in Season 1 or Season 2 of our draft. I think they're so good, though. And those are Sharpedo and Aerodactyl. So first up, Sharpedo. Speed boost before Mega Evolving. Really strong. Strong Jaws, Fang coverage, all the Fangs. He gets all of them. Earthquake too. That was something I actually didn't know Mega Sharpedo got until I was looking all the way through this. Earthquake. That's so good. He can counter electric types that try to come in on him. And then Aqua Jet. I mean, you've got 140 attack stab with Aqua Jet. That's so good. What's the bad about him though? What holds Sharpedo back from being a tier 1? Obviously, trying to net that speed boost off of regular Sharpedo means you're going to run Protector Substitute. Just about every time. 105 speed, it's not bad, but it's not where you want the Mega's speed to be, but getting that speed boost pushes that up a lot. Pushes it up above Mega Aerodactyls. Makes them a lot faster. The problem is that can maybe be a little predictable. People know you might protect the first turn and try to switch something in that's going to handle your Sharpedo a little bit. But the big difference between it and something like Manectric is just the coverage. Oh my gosh, that's the thing. Someone tries to switch something in they think can handle Sharpedo. Maybe it can't. Maybe they try to switch in an electric type. You've got Earthquake just sitting there ready waiting for them. That's really good. Really good. So number 1 though, I did put Aerodactyl, and I'm not being biased. Everyone knows I love rock types, but I really think Aerodactyl is, as far as draft goes, probably the best tier 2 you can hope for. The coverage is really good. Just look it up. He gets the fangs too, just like Sharpedo. He gets Iron Head. Obviously, Edgequake combo is insane. The only thing Mega Aerodactyl is really lacking is a decent flying type move. I've been wanting it to get Brave Bird for some time, but that's probably not ever going to happen. If it did, it might be a tier 1. But regardless, 150 speed is really the selling point here. That's fast. Very few things outspeed that. Mega Alakazam is one of the few that aren't scarfed, but will outspeed a Mega Aerodactyl. And then with that, 135 attack is good. That hits hard. And you pair that with its ability, Tough Claws. Most of its attacks get that Tough Claw boost. You're not going to get Tough Claw boost with Earthquake. That's about it. You're going to get Tough Claws with all the Fang coverage you try to run. That's really nice. And also, Mega Aerodactyl gets Pursuit with Tough Claws. That's pretty good. Pursuit trapping things is really nice. Hone Claws with Stone Edge is so good. People forget a lot about the accuracy boost from that. That's really strong. Taunt and Stealth Rocks, great options. It's really fast to run Taunt, stop your opponent from setting up anything on you, and then set up your own Stealth Rocks with it. Like, it has so many options. It doesn't just have to be offensive. Obviously, the stats make it want to be more offensive. And I think the other thing about it, it's like a lot of the glass cannons in this tier. It's like they're good, but they're gonna die really easily. Aerodactyl! I'm not saying it's bulky, but it has enough bulk to at least take a hit. Which is not as much as I can say for some of the other ones. And I think being a rock type, which is one of the best offensive types that can fly and avoid earthquakes, is also really strong. Not being able to get killed by earthquake takes away one of those crucial weaknesses to rock. So it's really strong. Obviously, its bad points, priority. Aqua Jet and Bullet Punch are going to do a number on you. Likely they won't one-hit KO you if you are at full health, but you just gotta watch out for those. If you can play around them though, Mega Aerodactyl is going to be a draft monster, I think. You can run so much coverage to take out things. Really surprising. And I'm hoping after this video somebody decides to take Mega Aerodactyl. If they don't, I might. Take it and see what it can do. I think it's going to be a monster, and I think it's great. So now we are going to break into the tier 1s. There are 18 tier 1s, so let's see if we can get through all of these. First up, Swampert. So Swampert I took this season, and I took him because he was a tier 2. We moved him back to tier 1 because making a rain offense team should not be as easy as I made it out to be. My bad. So the nice thing about Swampert, he is pretty bulky. Obviously if you have rain, that's where you want him, so he can outspeed a lot with rain. 70 speed goes to 140 speed. Like, the stats are broken with that kind of speed. It stabs, obviously Waterfall and Earthquake, that's so good. He gets Ice Punch, which is great. Stone Edge is really good. Like, Swampert has a lot of options, which is nice. Again, though, he requires rain to do well. You're going to draft either Politoed or Pelipper with him, which just wastes one of your team slots. I took Pelipper this season, and Pelipper has gotten, I think, 0 kills all season. It's just there to help Swampert, which is sad because, again, you want your team to be a little more versatile, and Swampert doesn't bring that. He's very much a one-trick pony. And then without the rain, it's a bulky water. And I sound like a broken record, but is it great having a bulky water in your mega slot? No. I did, but I use it as an offensive mon. So again, you're not going to take him without the rain, because that turns him into an offensive powerhouse and not just a bulky water type. And again, grass types on water ground, any grass coverage is going to take out Swampert, and you can expect everyone to bring grass coverage. So number 17, we've got Scizor, or sorry, Scizor. I'm sick. So Mega Scizor is still pretty good. Great bulk and attack, stab priority with Technician. It's really good that Mega Scizor kept Technician. Obviously, 4 times fire weakness is bad. It's slow, but it has that priority, which helps. And honestly, the reason it's only 17 is regular Scizor is pretty much the same thing. It's got some stat boosts that help it out a little bit, but it's better to take Scizor in tier 2. That being said, a lot of times I think people take Mega Scizor because somebody snipes regular Scizor from them. And if you really need Scizor on your team, sure, take Mega Scizor. He's fine, he's not bad. But in the Mega slot, something with that fire weakness that's such a common... I just can't justify it. I wouldn't do it. I would search for a different steel type, personally, if somebody sniped my Scizor, than taking Mega Scizor. It's still pretty good, and people have done okay with it, and that's fine. Just know that it's fairly easy to counter. 16, we're going with Gyarados. One of the best setup sweepers in the game, no doubt. Everyone knows that. Mold Breaker and Earthquake is obviously great. It's got good coverage. Ice Fang is phenomenal on it. So what's the bad? 81 speed on an offensive Pokemon is not good. So this lacks the versatility, because what you're running Gyarados to do is Dragon Dance. And without that Dragon Dance, it's just not fast enough to do what you want it to do. It's weak to too many things that they're going to take it out. Honestly, though, Mega Gyarados losing that 4 times electric weakness is kind of good. It's pretty good. And being able to switch it in as a regular Gyarados to Intimidate and then Mega Evolve and then Dragon Dance is usually good, because you're usually going to force something out. So it's a good tactic, but I still think just because of how predictable it can be, it's a little weaker. I don't think anyone has drafted Mega Gyarados in our drafts yet. I do expect someone to eventually try it out. It's not bad. All these tier 1s are good. But is it as good as some of the other ones? Probably not. Number 15, Charizard Y. Charizard Y is not as good as Charizard X. It's got Drought, so it's a good wall breaker with Drought. 159 special attack with a Fire Blast in Drought is strong. You're going to kill a lot of things. Speed tier is okay. Not great, but okay. The selling point, I think, for Charizard Y is getting Solar Beam. Solar Beams that don't take a turn to charge is really, really strong for a fire type. Being able to take out water types that switch in on you is just so good. Obviously, 4 times weak to rock makes it a little worse than Charizard X. The sets are predictable. 100 speed is just not great. And overall, you're not running Dragon Dance on Charizard Y because the attack isn't quite as good. You could throw in some versatility there, try a Dragon Dance set. It's not great, though. It's just not going to be where you want it to be. So I think the speed is just not quite there for justifying it as a Mega slot. So number 14 is Gardevoir. Gardevoir, I struggled with. I started it out a little higher on the list, but it's just not as good as I thought maybe it was. Special attack is crazy high, don't get me wrong. That's really good. The coverage it gets is great, Pixelate is good, it's got a lot of utility. But I mean, the defense is really bad. And not just that, but the speed with the defense. So, when I came up against Mega Gardevoir in draft, all I had to do was hit it with 1 bullet punch, and it died. From Pangoro, which isn't even a stab bullet punch, and it just died. So its defense is paper thin, it's super, super easy to counter because it's slow and it can't run an item. That's the thing about Megas. These Megas that have low speed need to either be really bulky or have a way to boost the speed, and Mega Gardevoir can't do that. So it's just not where you want it for an offensive Mega. She's still good. Her typing is great. Personally, I like the typing. Fairy Psychic is really good for an offensive Mon. Fairy is crazy right now, so it's good. And I mean, the special defense is great, like bringing in on special attackers, and you can tank a lot of hits, and you can justify running some of the utility, but you just got to be careful with her. That defense is just really low. So number 13, Mega Tyranitar. Mega Tyranitar, the bulk, the attack is good. Yes, he's slower, obviously, I've been talking a lot about speed, but with the bulk, 120 special defense, that gets boosted, by the way, under sand, 1.5, and then defense 150 is great. So Dragon Dance on Mega Tyranitar turns him into a formidable sweeper that can be hard to handle. His stabs are great, coverage is really good. He gets Avalanche, Fire Punch, Ice Punch. He's got a lot of options, and then obviously Crunch and Pursuit are really strong. Stone Edge, Earthquake. Tyranitar can do a lot. Obviously, the bad things about him are the same as like regular Tyranitar. Common weaknesses, rock types have a lot. The 4 times weakness of fighting is bad. If anyone's running Mach Punch, you're going to be in trouble. It's easy to predict, kind of. I mean, a lot of times you're going to want to run Dragon Dance to sweep, but you can run a really bulky Mega Tyranitar and just run it for Stealth Rocks and stuff if somebody sniped regular Tyranitar. But overall, regular Tyranitar, again, with the item, can make it a little more versatile. Banded Tyranitar is really, really strong. Scarf Tyranitar is great, but I kind of put Mega Tyranitar at the same level, though, as regular Tyranitar. Like, they're about the same on power level. Like, yeah, regular Tyranitar gets the versatility with the item, but Mega Tyranitar's got a lot of the boosted stats. I think help it a lot, and being able to Dragon Dance with those stats is a lot better. So they're both great. And yeah, Mega Tyranitar gets drafted every season, usually a little later, probably. If you get sniped from some other things, it's still a great offensive mon to throw on your team if you can justify running it. It's really good. Number 12, we're going Mega Sableye. So Mega Sableye is bulky as hell. Obviously, I don't need to go over that. Everyone knows how great Mega Sableye is. The defensive typing is phenomenal. It's only weak to Fairy. So for a bulky Pokemon to be only weak to one type, it gets Knockoff, it gets Will-O-Wisp, it gets Recover. That's crazy good. And Magic Bounce is still really good, but I do think that losing Prankster hurts it a little bit. I like Prankster on my Sableye. It's really nice. The Prankster Will-O-Wisp is just good. Being able to hit that Will-O-Wisp first before you take any damage is just really strong. Takes some setup for it to get going too. If you're trying to be a little more offensive, it does get Calm Mind, and that's run a lot, but usually you want to get like 2 Calm Minds before you start doing much. But overall, if you're trying to, draft a stall team, this is the Mega you want, hands down. I don't think there's any other Mega you take. Maybe Venusor, but I think Sableye is the one you take. And then if you're trying to still, like, just running, like, a balanced team, Sableye is fine. I think it's really great, and I think it's a shame that nobody's drafted it yet. I want to see what it can do in draft. I think it's got a little bit of versatility and can be really hard to handle. I think people look past that, but it's really tough for people to get around Mega Sableye sometimes. So number 11, we have Alakazam. So Alakazam is on par with Mega Aerodactyl. They speed tie. The thing is fast. So I put him above Gardevoir because, yeah, he's got 175 special attack, but he's got the speed to back it up. Like, he hits really, really hard, and it's hard to handle a Mega Alakazam if you're not running Priorities or Scarf. But just like Gardevoir, he's going to die to a lot of common priority. He is made of paper. His 65 defense is pitiful. He's not weak to any priority besides Sucker Punch, though, so that's really nice. So, unless you're running, like, Stab, Technician, Bullet Punch, that'll probably kill him. But otherwise, you might live, might not. But he does get Recover, which is nice. His special defense isn't great either. So Alakazam is just a glass cannon mostly, but he's probably the best one, hands down. Magic Bounce helps a lot. in my opinion. The coverage is insane. We don't need to go over it. Alakazam just gets everything. Calm Mind setups are pretty good if you're facing a team that has mostly special attackers. Boosting that special defense will help you take a lot of hits. And then Recover. Recover is solid on anything. Being able to just heal up is really nice. Not much else to say about Alakazam. I think people know he's good, and he's just kind of right here in the middle of my megas. So number 10, we've got Char X. Char X gets drafted every season. Dragon Dance, Tough Claws, Roost, all amazing on it. It gets Earthquake, which is great coverage. I think the fact that it can run mixed is good and gives it a little more versatility than Char Y. Dragon Dance really puts him over the edge. The problem is he really wants that Dragon Dance with 100 speed. It's just, not quite fast enough. And I think the other bad thing is losing Earthquake immunity is not as great, but he trades that with losing the 4 times weakness to Rock. So he can take a little more hits probably than Char Y. And again, he gets drafted every time. I think he has the power to do well. And with a boost, he's great. A lot stronger than Charizard Y for draft, obviously. Number 9, we've got Gallade. So Gallade is good. I was surprised looking through him. I thought he was going to be a lot lower on my list, but I like him a lot. Great typing. Really good bulk for an offensive mon. 115 special defense, 95 defense. He's not as paper thin as Gardevoir or Alakazam, so that is really good. So he can set up really nicely. He's pretty easy to get his sword stance off. Knockoff is great. Elemental punches, obviously. He's just solid on the coverage. What's his bad? His ability. So I hate, honestly, wasting a good ability, or a shitty ability on a Mega, basically. Inner Focus is just not a great ability. Yeah, he could come in against, like, Mega Lopunny that's doing Fake Out and not get flinched, but it's not worth it. Nobody's gonna actually Fake Out a Mega Gallade. And its defense obviously leaves a little bit to be desired. 95 is just not quite where you'd want it. So he can get taken down fairly easily. I like the speed tier though. A little slow. 115 is kind of where you want your like really heavy, fast offensive mons to be, but 110 is respectable and usable. It's faster than all the Mega Charizards, faster than Gardevoir, so that's really good. So I think he's strong, and I think his coverage and getting knockoff really helps him, and just the fact that he's pretty easy to get that Sword Dance set up is really nice. Number 8 is Mega Diancie. So Mega Diancie, look at the stats. I think that's the selling point for Mega Diancie. 160 attack, 160 special attack, 110 defense, 110 special defense, 110 speed. She's fast, she hits hard. Calm Mind is a great set on her. Magic Bounce is good. Coverage. Her coverage is amazing. She gets Earth Power. And Power Gem or her other rock move are all great. Good setups. She can set Stealth Rocks. She has a lot of options and the bulk and the stats to back it up. So why isn't she higher? You look at these stats and you would think, oh my gosh, this thing is amazing. Why is it even allowed? 4 times weak to steel. Hurts a lot. Anyone running Bullet Punch, this is a one-hit KO. I don't care who you are. Boop, dead. And anything else that can take whatever she's running and just hit her with an Iron Head or a Scarf Iron Head like Excadrill. Is the reason why she's not quite as high, but as long as you build your team to be able to take out those steel types, you're going to be fine. And Mega Diancie is an amazing choice. She always gets drafted every time. She's really, really strong. Highly recommend Mega Diancie, especially for a special attacker. Really good. So Mega Medicham. Mega Medicham doesn't get drafted. And I cannot believe why. Obviously, you look at the stats and you're like, oh, that's not very good. But you forget, Mega Medicham has 200 attack, not 100. Pure Power doubles that attack stat. So all these stats plus 200 attack. is really good. The speed tier is not terrible. It's better than other pure power Pokemon. It's better speed than Mega Mawile, which we banned. Like, that's the thing about Medicham, is it's so hard to switch into. It's harder to switch into Mega Medicham than just about anything else. Maybe Hoopa U. But otherwise, switching into Mega Medicham, something's gonna die. Like, you're just switching in whatever you don't need to kill it. It gets Bullet Punch too, which is really good priority. Obviously, Mach Punch would be better with the stab, but that being said, Bullet Punch is still really strong. Really good getting that priority for things that outspeed you. Obviously, its downfall is its speed. It's going to get outsped a lot. Again, you're just banking on something switching in that you kill, and then you're going to switch Mega Medicham out, rinse and repeat. But if your opponent keeps something faster, then they're going to be able to eventually take out Mega Medicham, as long as it resists the Bullet Punch. But again, Mega Medicham is going to also just about break through any wall. Any stall team is just in trouble with Mega Medicham. If they can't Will-O-Wisp it, it's just going to break it down. So I really hope people draft Mega Medicham in the future. I want to see it do really well. But I don't understand why it hasn't seen use, but it hasn't. But it makes number 7 on my list. Really strong. Alright, number 6, Altaria. Altaria we moved up from tier 2, and it's still making number 6 on my list. Altaria is very good. The typing is excellent. Dragon Fairy is really good typing. Great for building a core, because everyone wants their Dragon Fairy Steel core. Here's your Dragon Fairy in one Pokemon. Now you just need a Steel type. Frees up your team for a lot more. The person that has it this season has Celesteela on their team, and that's probably why they're undefeated. Because they have a great bulky Dragon and Fairy all in one, and then the best Steel type in the game. So, yeah. It has a lot of great sets, offensive and cleric. Like, it does a lot, and that's really good. It's a little slow, but it's fine because the bulk is there, and it's really good. The stats are almost too balanced, though. I think that's kind of its shortcoming. It lacks offensively as a Mega. If you're really trying to run an offensive Altaria, Dragon Dance helps it out a lot to kind of get where it needs to be. Otherwise, it's not going to do too much damage. And then as a Mega option, I think the best way to compare Mega Altaria is to Venusor right below it. Because Venusor is very, very similar. The typing is different, obviously, but it's very bulky and trying to be offensive. But when you compare the stats directly, Venusor does everything better than Mega Altaria, except for the attack stat is 10 less. Which Venusor isn't usually a physical attacker, but it gets Swords Dance, which is fun. So moving on to Venusor. Venusor gets the edge on Altaria, mostly for stats. Just your Mega is where you're putting most of your stats. Those are crazy stats. It's big, bulky. It is so hard to kill Mega Venusor. Anyone that's faced a Mega Venusor, like if you play Overuses the Ladder, you've seen Venusor, and that thing is a tank. Thick Fat gets rid of 2 of its weaknesses, 2 of its big weaknesses. Fire and Ice just do regular damage. It still says super effective, but it's just regular. It's not doing a lot. So it's only weak to Flying and Psychic, which aren't common coverage, so it's really nice. It's got great recovery. It has Synthesis. It's really good. Some of the sets really surprise people. Almost everyone that's running Mega Venusaur in Draft, I've seen them use Knockoff at least once. When I had it Season 1, I did run Swords Dance once, and it actually did work. You can boost that attack stat and run Earthquake on Mega Venusaur, and it's pretty great. I think the great thing about Venusaur is that he can switch into almost anything. Again, you're not going to switch him into Psychics and anything with like Flynium Z. Because usually there isn't much other flying coverage besides like Air Slash on a couple mons. But otherwise, Venusaur switches into everything. Obviously, you want to watch out for Flyniums and some common Psychics. Everybody drafts a Psychic type usually so that they have a Mega Venusaur counter. But that's the thing, if you take out that Psychic type, Mega Venusaur can just wall teams. He can just sit on them, and it's great. And he has really good coverage. Like if you're worried about someone running like Heatran against your Mega Venusaur, because Heatran usually just stalls out Venusaur. run Earthquake and Swords Dance. It's such a great little trick to like surprise a Heatran, and it's pretty great. Just the stats are better, so Venusor starts off my top 5. Number 4 and 3 go together. This is the Mega Lattes. They're both great. Always get drafted early. Always really strong. They're banned in a lot of other leagues because just of their power. You look at their stats and that's just crazy. The speed tier is good, 110. Obviously, it's not 115, which is really, really good and where a lot of people like to have their their heavy hitters for a speed tier, but it's good enough because of the bulk that they have. And I mean, just look down their move pool and you see what all the Lotties can do. Calm Mind, Screens, Recover, every coverage move you can think of they get. So what is the bad about them? Why are they not my number 1 and 2, and why are they not banned yet? They haven't done as well as I've thought they'd do. They get Pursuit Trapped and Sucker Punched, which is really common. A lot of people in this league have taken Mons with Sucker Punch, which is really good. It helps counter those. They're fairly easy to wear down sometimes. Recover is nice, though. And I think one of the other reasons why a lot of people shy away from drafting them, though, is because the regular Lattes with an item are usually better sometimes. I don't think all the time, but sometimes. Getting a little more attack out of your Latios with, like, specs is really good. I did put Latios higher, just because he's slightly more offensive. I think running a little more offensive with your Mega is better overall. But honestly, they're just about tied. I gave Latios a slight edge, but you can consider them both 3 and 4. They're the same. Alright, so number 1 and 2, I think people were expecting these to probably be 1 and 2 or at least close to the top. So number 2 is Pinsir. Pinsir is really, really good. People love Pinsir too, and it's good. 120 defense is, I think, what surprises people. I don't think people realize that when they go into fighting a Mega Pinsir. It has that bulk. He doesn't just die easily. Obviously, Rock types can do some damage, but he gets close combat. He can take him out, or Superpower. Actually, I think it's Superpower, or maybe both. He's such a potent sweeper. As far as late game, just cleaning up teams, Mega Pinsir is just about the best way to go. There's almost no better option. Stab Quick Attack because of Aerialate is so good. You set up a Sword Stance and you start quick attacking everything that doesn't resist you. That's so good. And then you get the fighting type coverage for steel types and rock types that are weak to the quick attack. That's so good. Another thing I learned about Pinsir is he gets Stealth Rocks. I'm not joking. I don't think I've seen anyone run Stealth Rocks on it, but it gets it. And I think just for that, that's really great in draft. Everyone loves tossing up Stealth Rocks every once in a while. And again, that defense is stronger than people realize. It's weak to Stealth Rock? Okay. Regular Pinsir, though, when you switch it in, only takes 25. That's not that bad. Not as bad. Obviously, after you've Mega'd, it can be a little harder, but you just want to back up your team with Defoggers, Rapid Spinners, so that Pinsir can just clean up at the end. That's really his job, to just take it out at the end. But number one is Lopunny. Easily, hands down, the best in draft. What's the good? It hits Ghost, so it's a normal type that can just fly through Ghost types, which is really good. The coverage is phenomenal, insane. 135 speed is bonkers with its stats. Attack stack is great. It's not frail, so it doesn't have that frailty that a lot of other offensive Pokemon have, which is really, really good. It's got 94 defense, 96 special defense. Good enough. And I think just the fact that you run the Fake Out set is so good. Focus Sash is very, very common in draft. People try to use that to surprise their opponent and get some kills, but Lopunny just stops that in its tracks. And I just feel like there are so few. There are some, but there are so few Pokemon that just have the stats in the right places. Lopunny has the stats in the right places. It has everything right where it needs to be. It's got that lower special attack so it can have better attack and speed, which is so nice. It doesn't need to run that special. The bad, there's not really any. It resists Stealth Rock, which is nice. The Fake Out set is crazy. It outspeeds almost anything without a Scarf. Mega Lopunny is hands down the best. Usually gets drafted early. I think a lot of times Mega Pinsir actually gets drafted before Lopunny. And maybe the Lotties too, but I think Lopunny is hands down the most threatening and the hardest for people to handle. It's a good Pokemon. Just look through its coverage and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's crazy. But yeah, that's my breakdown of the Megas. I know this has been a long video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. But that's it. That's all. I will be bringing you guys more content though. I'm going to try to put together a video for our Season 2 playoffs. We'll see if I get the time to do that. And then I do want to try to stream some of the playoffs, especially the final game. I know people will be excited about that. And then as we're moving towards Season 3, I just want to say that I do want to keep growing and expanding, especially this YouTube channel with some of the content creators. I'm hoping that we can bring a lot more content to you guys. As far as videos, as far as draft breakdowns, we can even get in some of the Gym League stuff. So hopefully you guys have that to look forward to. Enjoy the playoffs for Season 2 and get yourselves ready for Season 3, which is starting in just a few weeks. I hope you guys enjoyed my video, and we will see you